Well, congratulations to Variablast, who was the first one to come up with the correct answer to the parable of the young potentate. Yeah, I mean, when you hear the answer, it's almost like it's cheating. It's almost like it's a letdown. I'm sure you're like throwing rotten tomatoes at your screen right now. But yeah, the conditions under which the prince will never make a mistake after only a finite number of mistakes is if in his circle of advisors there actually is one advisor there who knows all the answers, right? So, I mean, it doesn't matter which way he lines them up. He can line them up from shortest to longest or from longest to shortest. If he keeps whacking the ones who give him the wrong answers, eventually, okay, if the omniscient one is there, he's going to find him, right? So, so at any rate, but even though this seems like cheating, even though this seems like kind of is kind of a letdown, but it really, if you take a second look at it, it really has the gem, the kernel of a very good answer to the problem of induction, as follows, right? Okay, so first of all, the pragmatic outlook isn't some sort of crass, I just go with what works kind of thing. Okay, the pragmatic outlook is more subtle than that. Okay, the pragmatic outlook is, eyes on the prize. What do you want? Okay, you don't necessarily want to find the correct true theory. You don't necessarily want to find, the most elegant theory. What you want to do is, you don't even want a theory at all. You can't do anything with a theory, okay? What you want is, you want to not make mistakes, right? That's the core value is getting the right answer. Theory is just a tool for getting the right answer, okay? So if you focus on what you want to do, what you want to solve, what you want to solve is the problem of being wrong all the time, right? So in this sense, okay, it makes the problem a lot more tractable. It makes the problem a lot more tractable. Okay, so think about it this way, right? Let me compare this with another assumption. If you're going to solve this, you've got to make some sort of presuppositions about what's going to happen next, right? Okay, so like Gary, Burn Victim 77, his presupposition is, okay, the world is deterministic. So there's some predictable features there that I can latch on to and get my induction going that way, okay? This is a different but similar assumption, okay? So what the assumption is that for whatever phenomenon you're studying, say you're studying gravity, okay, or say you're studying, asexual reproduction in, fungi or something, right? The assumption is the following. Okay, the assumption is there's a finite book, right? There's just a book which contains the answers that you're looking for. Okay, it contains a theory which will allow you to predict the correct answers. So that's the assumption. Okay, if there is a finite sized theory which will predict the answers, then okay, this method will actually find it. Now, so I had the prince line them up from shortest advisor to tallest advisor, but let's translate this to theories now. Okay, so you just take the shortest theory, okay, written in the language of English, say, right? You take the shortest theory, possible theory, one letter, and take all of those, then all the two-letter theories and stuff, right? And you line them up in a big row, and then as the new data comes in, you see which theory made the correct prediction. And the ones that don't, you throw them out. And eventually, if the theory is a finite size, you will eventually come across the correct theory in the sense that, okay, it will give you all of the right answers. Okay, now, under this conception, okay, if you make this assumption, if there is a finite size theory which describes what you're trying to theorize about, okay, then after a finite amount of time, you will find the correct answers. Okay, there will reach a point where you will not make any more mistakes. Now, what you're probably saying is this length of time is huge, and yeah, it's true. Okay, I'm going to post a link to a great story. You got to read this story. It's the Library of Babel by Borges. Awesome story. So it completely describes. Okay, I mean, think about how many theories there are that are of just one page long. A huge number of theories. Think about how many different books there could possibly be written. This kind of stuff, right? But the key here's the kicker. Okay, the kicker is there's really only there's a large number of mistakes, but there's a finite number of mistakes that you will make by following this method. And after a while, you're guaranteed never to make another mistake ever again. Okay, so pragmatists look at the core value. The core value is not making mistakes, eyes on that prize. Okay, but what do you have to give up? You have to give up any hope of actually finding the correct or true theory, right? This is, for example, this is one of the reasons why I'm so baffled when people say that, say, folk psychology isn't a good theory of human behavior. I mean, it's the best one we found. We should be lucky that we have any theory at all to describe human beings. It makes no sense to me to say that we don't really have free will, or we don't really have beliefs or anything like that. We're really just atoms swirling around. I mean, guys, the core value is getting the right answer about people. That's the core value. And if you keep your eyes on that prize, it makes a lot of these other problems a lot more tractable. Okay, so now you might still be thinking, but this is going to take so long. I mean, there's just so many possible theories I'd have to sort through in order to find, one that actually works. And yeah, it's true. I mean, think about how long it took the human race, say, to come up with, Newton's laws, right? It took a long time. Think about how long it took to come up with quantum theory. It took a long time. But really, there's ways to make this go faster. Okay, every learning theory that we have, every learning algorithm we have, every theory of induction that actually works, this really can be viewed as an approximation to this method. It's an approximation to what this young potentate is doing. But so to kick off the next round, okay, how can we actually make this a little bit faster? Let me tell you another parable. Okay, so this is the parable of the warring barbaric kingdoms. Okay, so long ago, in a country far, far away, where they have customs which are very different from ours, two nations were at war, and the nations in these countries, their leaders actually went out on the front lines and fought. Okay, they weren't like our pansy-butted leaders that we have today, which order the young men out there in battle. They got out there themselves, right, and were fighting in the middle of the battle. So one day, the two leaders were facing each other across the battlefield. The two kings were there, and each one shot an arrow. And at the same time, the arrow hit the other one, and mortally wounded both of them. Okay, they weren't going to die immediately, but they were mortally wounded. So they were brought off the battlefield, and they brought their young sons to their sides, and told their sons, okay, I'm going to die in a few hours. Let me tell you as much as I can about running a kingdom before I die, because you're going to have to pick up the pieces here. So one of the kings, he's lying on the field, and his lungs are filling with blood from the arrow that's there, and he's coughing and gasping, and he says, okay, here is the correct way to use advisors, and he dies. This son does the same thing as the barbaric potentate did in the past series. He just lines them all up from shortest to tallest and marches through. The other king's a little bit luckier, okay? So he's lying on the battlefield. His lungs are filling up with blood. He's coughing and gurgling. And he says, come here, son. Come closer so I don't have to talk so loud. And so the young son comes close, and he can barely hear his father talking. And the father says, here's how you use advisors. And he says something, and the son says, I didn't quite catch it. Can you repeat that, Dad? And he says, yes, here's how you do it. And he tells the son. And the son actually hears him, okay? So, here's the question, okay? Two questions this time. So, what's the average number of mistakes? Okay, say that both of these princes have an equal number of circle advisors. Say they have n advisors each, okay? And say each advisor has each prince has one of the advisors in their group, has all the answers, right? So, here's the two questions. All right. First question is, what's the average number of mistakes that the first prince is going to make? Okay? And here's the second question, okay? What could the king tell the second prince in order to let the second prince make an average number of mistakes, which is the following, okay? You take the log base 2 of the number of advisors that the prince has. Log base 2 of the number of advisors which the prince has. And that's the average number of mistakes which the second prince will make, okay? So see if you can answer that one, and we'll talk about how to speed up this whole process in the next episode.